This is the Mad Dragons Podcast. Well, g'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mad Dragons Podcast for this Team List Tuesday edition as the Dragons look to overcome our horrible record in Canberra. Hazman, we've lost 14 of our last 16 games at GIO Stadium dating back to 2001. What inspired team selections has Master Coach Anthony Griffin gone with to overcome this hoodoo venue? You there, Hazman?
Yep, right here, Donny.
There we go.
Yeah, as far as inspiration goes, I'm so uninspired by these changes. I feel like I've just watched 3 hours of Hook's bloody halftime speeches. The only changes that he's made are basically the forced changes with Ravalawa and Molo both out. So going from the top, Tyrell Slane, Matt Feeney, Moses Sully, Zach Lomax, and the absolute speed demon with the superstar step. He's only a young kid. He's only 29 years old. Tau Moga comes onto the wing to replace Ravalawa. Junior Ramon, Ben Hunt. Zane Musgrove comes in for Frankie Molo, who got suspended for not quite tackling correctly. Jacob Little, Blake Laurie, Ben Murdoch-Masila, Jaden Sewer, Jack Bird, and on the bench, everyone's favourite player, Moses Zambai, Jack DeBellin, Toby Couchman, and Josh Kerr. And despite absolutely blitzing the opposition last week, poor old Jaden Sullivan can't even crack the reserves bench. So yeah, not too confident about this one. Obviously going with the only if they're injured approach, which I don't think anyone was expecting anything else, Donny.
No, and I think that's probably the disappointing side of things is that we've probably got the exact team that all of us were expecting. When you guys had a chat on Sunday, I'm sure you all spoke about the changes that were going to happen, and I'm sure this is pretty close to the team that everyone thought we were going to get. We'll talk a bit more about our team in a minute. But before we talk about our team, as we do every week, we'll have a bit of a chat about the opposition. So we'll go into this.
Come with me as we go behind enemy lines.
Big T, take it away.
Yeah, Dragons fans, I'm Big T, and this is Behind Enemy Lines. That's right there. Before I bring on my guest, I'll run through the Raiders team. We have Sebastian Chris at the back, Hopewadi and Kotrick on the wing, Jared Croker and Matthew Tomoko in the centres. 6 and 7 will be Whiten and Fogarty. Big Papa, Josh Papali'i, Zach Wolford and Tarpanay up front. Hudson Young, Whitehead and Big Red, Corey Horsburgh at the back of the scrum. Starling, Gula, Saulo and Corey Harawira-Naira on the bench with Harley Smith-Shields as 18th man. All right, I'd like to bring in our guest today. His name is Chris. He's a rugby league expert from ABC Darwin in Newcastle. Commentator for New South Wales Rugby League and is a voice of rugby league in Newcastle. Mr. Chris Macpherson, welcome, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself, mate, where you're from and how you got to support the Raiders.
Yeah, well, Newcastle, born and bred. We're fortunate growing up that we had a family of a couple of Raiders, I guess, squad members and players that lived nearby. And bit of kit used to come over the fence at different points, and just found myself in lime green growing up. And it was the mid-90s, which, as you can see from my background picture, was a great time to be a Raiders fan. It's been a bit up and down since then, might be a generous way of putting it, but yeah, certainly been on the lime green bandwagon for those years since. So yeah, we've had some highs, but we've had a lot of lows, and something that I'm sure I share with a lot of you guys in terms of some very challenging on the fanship years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and how did you get involved with ABC and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, it all started out. So I was up based in Darwin, where I met the illustrious Mad Dragon. Yeah, I was doing some stuff up there with some local footy and covering that, doing some vodcasts of my own on the local league and union up there. That led into podcasting, led into falling into some commentary. And again, it's always who you know, not what you know. A couple of ABC contacts then got me involved in doing some local sport reports and different other things. And yeah, you just say yes. When they ask if you can do it, don't try and explain why you haven't done it or how you can't. And you just take things on and take the opportunities. And any opportunity to be involved in rugby league is a good one.
Oh, that's right, mate. You learned growing up that networking is the way to go. It's not what you know, it's who you know, like you said. All right, talk about the game on Sunday. White and Tarpanay and Kotrick back, but you've got one out too. You've got Tarpanay's out. Not Tarpanay, yeah. Rapana's out. That's right, Rapana's out. Yeah, so yeah, three big ins, one big out.
Yeah, I was going to say those three ins. It's not too shabby when you've got two New South Wales Blues and New Zealand Warriors, New Zealand international players, coming in. Tarpanay returning from the birth of his child, so hopefully he'll be fresh and ready to go. And Whiten and Kotrick coming back in too should be big ins. Although Brad Schneider was doing a pretty good job last week at 5'8".
Yeah, and that gash to Rapana's head was a little bit ugly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't pretty. It was an unfortunate incident. And yeah, I know it certainly turned plenty of people away from their TV screens. And I don't know that I've seen that much claret in a long time. Certainly stood out on the lime green.
Well, I hope he's okay and he's back soon, but he's not playing on the weekend, so that makes me a little bit more happy.
Probably helps our discipline, to be fair.
True, yes. And he dropped the ball a couple of times a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the week he got smashed by Penrith. But anyway, we'll come back to that later. Consistency is a must in rugby league, man. Look, you've got to be consistent every week in, week out. Raiders and the Dragons, we're not too consistent, are we? What do the Raiders have to concentrate on to find consistency?
I think it's just leveraging our strengths and just performing with those, not just trying to go for the flashy points and trying to use. I mean, we've got some really good outside backs, but leveraging those forwards that are strong and just getting through there. And also that word I just talked about, the Rapana discipline. It cruels us, whether that's discipline in terms of penalties or discipline in terms of how we use the ball. If we can get both those down pat and use our big middles, I mean, we've got Big Papa, we've got Tarpanay, we've got the fiery cannon from Caboolture in Corey Horsburgh, who's absolutely killing it at the moment. And geez, if Queensland aren't looking strongly at him, then they want their heads red. Yeah, the three of those guys through the middle, and then you bring on Harold Naira and Emre Gula. Yeah, I honestly think if we can get that platform down the middle, be disciplined with the ball and discipline when we're talking referees and penalties, then that's, I mean, at the end of the day, rugby league's not a complex game, really, is it? If you get those things right, you're a long way towards getting 2 points.
Yeah. Well, Corey Horsburgh, he's sort of a cult hero in our house. Like me and a few mates get together and watch nearly every game together. And Corey Horsburgh comes on. Horsburgh's got the big red, like he's got to be a cult hero down Raiders way, like Alan Tongue used to be. And he had a couple of good big reds.
I was going to say, I think red-headed players that go all right just become cult heroes. They're a bit like grey racehorses that go any good, aren't they? They just stand out and everyone loves them. It's a soft spot, If they're your mate, you take the absolute mickey out of them. But when they're a footballer and they're going all right, as long as it's not against your side, you go, geez, he must go. You get on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've liked Corey for years. And talking about great horses, I made a lot of money on Sub-Zero in the Cup back all those years ago. What was my next question? Who do the Dragons need to stop the Raiders?
Well, it's those three. It's Papali'i, Tapane, and Horsburgh, the three big middles. They're the key to shutting us down, because if we don't go forward with those three, everything else goes quiet. So those three, obviously Whiten coming back into a big addition, but I just think, yeah, if we don't have go forward, that's where our game tends to fall apart. And, you know, it's probably the challenge for you guys, although, you know, your forward rotation is obviously a lot better than it was a couple of weeks ago when you had Aaron Woods in your squad.
That's true, but Manly have got him now. I think he's playing this week in the Manly side. So, all right. Has anybody else got any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I might throw one at you, Mac. You know, the Raiders probably been one of the most disappointing teams in the competition until last week. Do you think it upsets the team? I know they're quality players in White and Tarpany and Chodrich coming in, but does it upset the balance a little bit after they've just had that big win, or do they come in and just carry on that momentum?
I think, honestly, Whiten could. I think Chodrich for Rapana is pretty much a straight switch in terms of the role they'll play. Both big ball carriers, both use plenty of aggression, both with the ball and in defence. Tarpane, I don't think, you know, in terms of him coming in, that can be a negative at all. But Whiten, because he'll play very differently to what Schneider did. Schneider played as the second fiddle to Fogarty, so that's going to be the key for Whiten, not to, I guess, overplay his hand as good as he is. You know, run first, ball play later, which will allow for Fogarty to do what he's done well and the continued, I guess, pattern of the team. But yeah, it's hard to be disappointed with bringing back in, as I said, 2 State of Origin players and a Test player.
Yeah. Does Ricky got something against Seb, Chris? Because your fullback position seems to be absolutely cursed. And this week he's lining up Seb.
Well, Seb's been there for a couple of weeks now, and I think, to be fair to him, the way he builds and the way he runs, if you can break that, then good luck to you. He's almost as indestructible as anything you've seen. So I think that's the theory that Ricky's gone with. He'll put the most bulletproof person we've got there. And now that I've said that, he'll undoubtedly crumble in a heap this weekend.
I suppose that sort of leads into Xavier Savage is named in the New South Wales Cup team. I mean, I know he's coming back from injury, but he's surprised not to see him at least on the extended bench this week.
Not really. I think had we not been in a position where we'd seen Croker in, then we might have seen that. But it's going to be interesting to see Croker being in last week and playing well. Has really, you know, I guess, forced the hand, and you know, it's a good problem to have for Ricky, I suppose. If we had lost to the Broncos and Croker hadn't performed, then it'd be a very different story. We might have seen, you know, either Xavier going straight back into fullback or, you know, slotting in elsewhere. But I mean, Chris is obviously probably even more handy than he is at fullback at centre. So again, it's one of those headaches that coaches want to have, isn't it? To, you know, have these challenges, and hopefully Xavier comes back, gets through unscathed, and shoots the lights out. And Ricky scratching his head after we get back-to-back wins over your crew, and we can cross that bridge of selection at that point, and yeah, go from there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not a bad problem to have, and it's just typical that you get all your players back and a bit of confidence just before you play us. Bloody wankers. Anyway, I think Muzz has got a question for you.
Yeah, Chris, just probably following on from what you just said there, from a club perspective, obviously the boys are just going to get in and try and back up that win. But as a supporter, does it sort of worry you a little bit that you can get up for those games against the Broncos? You beat Sharks earlier in the year, but you know, you've on the other side of it, you've been beaten by Newcastle and
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins there. I mean, Dolphins, okay, they were going okay at the start of the year, but then you get up to, you get up for the games against the Sharks and the Broncos, who are leading the comp, and then now you're coming against us, who, by your standards and a lot of other supporter standards, we're down the bottom. So does that sort of play on your mind a bit as a supporter, not as a player or a club, but as a fan?
Yeah, it's frustrating never knowing what team's going to turn up, I suppose, and that inconsistency. That's why we're sitting in 16th at the moment. We're a lot better football side at our best, but unfortunately, as we talked about before, consistency is that word, and I think it's probably something that our two clubs share in recent years. Is what we've got at our best is a long way from where we end up finishing the season most years, and it's probably more often than not that our sides aren't finding that best form, and yeah, we seem to get dragged into. When we play against a lower tier team, sometimes getting dragged down to their stand and getting caught in a dogfight and coming out the wrong side of that because we haven't been great at closing out tight games in recent years.
Yeah, cool. Cheers,
man. Jesse, you've got your hand up for another question, mate.
So my question, hey Chris, nice to meet you, Jesse. So first thing is, there's been a couple of headlines regarding the future of Jack White. Reports are saying he's been offered a $4.4 million contract to stay at the Raiders. do you think he stays? How important do you think he is to the Raiders? And do you think the Raiders can win a premiership with White in there in the next few years? And I've got another follow-up question afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, there's something like 12 clubs still in the race for him, according to what's come out recently. So yeah, really interesting to see where it sits. Apparently, he's chasing surf and sunshine, which I don't know how well everyone knows the geography. It's not exactly what Canberra's known for. So if that's more important to him than dollars, then he's probably going to go to Redcliffe, I'd suggest. But look, I think to pay anything more than 1.1 a year would be, silly money for Jack White. And phenomenal footballer, versatile footballer, but at the end of the day, we can't get ourselves into a position that some other clubs have where we're overcommitted to, a couple of players or one player. So I think we put our best offer on the table and we'll see what he does. I think at the moment I'd probably be a 60-40 that he stays, but as I said, it just depends what he wants as his priority in terms of money or surf, sand and sunshine.
Yeah, and my follow-up question is, I don't know if you've been following the NRLW, but Raiders have made a few signings. They're new into the comp this year. Signed a couple of her former Dragons. Matty Bartlett was a top try scorer in the comp last year. Samai Matauth is one of the gun forwards in the comp. And you've also signed young Monalisa Soliola, who's an ex-Dragon as well. What do you think of the Raiders entering a side in this competition, and how do you think they'll fare?
I'm pumped for it. I've enjoyed being based in Newcastle. I enjoyed watching the roller coaster that was the Knights winning the premiership here last year with the NRLW. It was great for the local rugby league community, and I guess in terms of broadening the fan base and so anything that gets more games of rugby league on TV at stadiums, more bums on seats, and more people following footy is a great thing. And more clubs coming in is great, and it'll be nice to actually cheer for the lime green in the NRLW this year, rather than feeling like I'm cheating on my team by sort of having a foot in the Knights camp that I did last year. So I'm pumped for it. Hard to judge on a few signings, but yeah, really happy with the first few signings that we've got on the books. As you said, some real talent there that predominantly have come from the Dragons, unfortunately for you guys, but it's going to be the case is that all the existing teams are going to strip out some players to these new clubs, and yeah, can't wait to see the expanded NRLW with the girls in lime green.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks very much. You've been great. But this is the part of the show where I go down memory lane and I talk about that cold, old, windy winter's night, 2007. Dragons pumped the Raiders 58-16. Rangi Chase scored 2. Cooper, Ben Ellis, Dan Hunt, Morris, Paul, Scott, Soward. They all scored. The whole team scored. It wasn't a very good day for you, was it, boy?
No. There's been some depressing moments in there. But,
I'm sure there's plenty more you can tell us back. But we haven't got time for that, mate. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Mad Dragon podcast. We're playing each other again in round 19, I think, somewhere around there. Hope to have you back, mate. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, guys. It's been great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's behind enemy lines with Big T, Macca, and an absolute legend of a bloke. Although I'd never tell him that to his face. So hopefully he doesn't watch the rest of this VOD. He is a top bloke. I've known him for a number of years, and yeah, he just loves his rugby league. He's one of the few blokes I've come across that loves his footy as much as I do. So despite the fact he's a Raiders fan, he's not too bad a bloke. All right, we before we get into chatting about our team, we do have another segment to go into. Bear with me for a minute. I'll get this set up. Jesse loves this one. Jags Dragons trivia. What do you got,
Yes.
mate?
So my question is regarding, so as you know, Canberra hasn't been a happy hunting ground for the Dragons in recent years, but many years ago they did break that hoodoo. So my question tonight is, we broke that hoodoo in what year? What was the score? And I'll run through the side a little bit later on once we reveal the answer. So what was the year we broke that hoodoo? What was the score? And I'll throw in a bit of a bonus question. What player of the current squad was in that team of that year?
There we
That's
go. I think there's about 15 questions there for people to try and get through. But if they can just tell us, so that was after the Raiders had won 11 in a row at GIO Stadium. What year was it that the hoodoo was finally broken and the Dragons had a win down in Canberra after 11 straight losses? So we'll start with the year. If you can give us a year, then we'll go from there. All right, we'll move in while we're waiting for some answers to come through. We will move in and start talking about our team. The biggest shock was probably the announcement of an injury to Mika Ravaloa. And before we start talking about his replacement, I'll stay with you, Jesse. Were you aware before today of this that this injury existed?
No, I didn't see any awareness or any idea that he had an injury during that game last Sunday. I was actually surprised. I thought when I first saw the team this afternoon, I thought, has Matt Griffin dropped him? I thought, has he finally made a decision of dropping a player? But when I looked through the team list right to the end, I saw the casualty ward and seeing him, I was very surprised to see he was on the injured list because you saw no sign of that during the game. Might have happened. Might not have been too bad, but I don't know. But yeah, obviously significant if he's going to miss 3 games that he's tipped to miss. So yeah, he's had a bit of a trouble with the hamstring over the last couple of years too. So I don't know what his going is. And yeah, as you said too, his replacement was.
Well, we'll get into that. We've got somebody else to answer the question about the replacement, because I know. Yeah, I know you're chomping at the bit to get stuck into that one, but
Yeah,
we'll cut you off there.
but yeah, very surprising to see him injured, but hopefully he gets back in a couple of weeks and see him in Magic Round.
Yeah, you're right about the hamstrings being a bit of an issue. Of course, it kept him out of the back end of last year. He got scrubbed from playing for Fiji as well, and it took a bloody long time. He did multiple hamstring injuries at the back end of last year, which was not a good sign. And then pretty early on this year, just as he was starting to get back somewhere near his best, and yeah, it was a big shock, I think, today when the team list came out to see him not named, because he did play out the 80 minutes and there was no noticeable problem. It certainly wasn't something that was brought up in the post game at all. So it was a bit of a shock. In terms of the quiz question, Shane Conop has said 2017, and I think maybe DeBellin. So
yes, Jack DeBellin is the sole player left from that side, but 2017 is incorrect. Yeah, just a little bit of extra detail. 2017 is probably when the start of the new hoodoo began. We went down in 2017, 18, 14, and have lost our last couple since then. So maybe the start of another hoodoo. It wasn't when the original 11-game streak was broken. It was a little bit before 2017. So a little bit of a hint. So what year was the hoodoo broken at down in Canberra? I will add something to that too. That 2017 game was a golden point game, and I think Dave Taylor scored a try to win Canberra the game that day. Tolly says they beat the Raiders again in 2015 by 2 points, and has Tolly put an answer in as to when it was broken? Is he saying 2015? I think. No, George Phillips giving the same answer as well. That's incorrect. that is incorrect. Keep trying, guys.
They're very, very, very close. We did win in 2015. It was a 2-point win. It might have been one before that. All right, we'll go to Muzza. The bloke that has come in for Rubber is Tau Moga. Do you think this is a right move for the Dragons, or do you think there may have been some better options Hook could have gone with?
Well, I can see you and Hasman have both got the red V on tonight. So either one of you two probably would have been a better option, to be honest. But look, there was a guy running around in the weekend in reserve grade, and I mean, he only made 176 meters, 61 contact, post contact, 12 tackle busts, 3 line breaks, couple of tries. But I guess I don't know, maybe he wasn't watching that game. But if Max Fearnoy didn't do enough to at least get a shot out there, I don't know what he's thinking. That Moga was 19th man for the side last year, last week, whether that means that he was next in line or whatever the fuck he's thinking is. But you got a bloke that produces an effort like that. What has he got to do?
Yeah, I watching that game in that reserve grade game, I think that was one of Max Fearnoy's best performances in senior footy. I think he sort of struggled a little bit. Obviously, he's had injuries. He's had a couple of long-term injuries that sort of hasn't allowed him to make that sort of next step up. But he finally has got to the point where he's starting to get some confidence back in his body. And that performance that he put on against the second place North Sydney Bears, that was a really impressive performance. And someone actually asked during the game, talking about Jaden Sullivan more so than Max Fearnoy, does Hook actually watch these games? And I said, of course he does. He's the head coach of the NRL side. Of course he watches the New South Wales Cup games. I'm now starting to doubt that, having seen the team selections today.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I think he made 15 or 16 tackles too without a miss. So obviously defensively, that can't be his excuse either. So we say it week in, week out. What's he thinking? Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of my big criticisms of Max has probably been his defence. But again, you point out perfectly that he was defensively very solid, and I think it's an area he has been working on, and he just looks like he's a lot more confident. He looks like the Max Fearnoy that I saw coming up through the juniors. The Max Fearnoy that was probably slightly above his brother coming through the ranks, and hasn't quite sort of made that jump up. But he looks like he's ready to now, but not given an opportunity. When one arises, and it's given to 29-year-old bloke who couldn't outrun me. So I don't know. It's a strange one. Moga will do a job. He did a job for us last year. He's solid, but that's not going to save his job. But we do have another guest from Tolly Angelides. It says 2014, Jesse.
Yes, that is correct. That was the year we finally broke the hoodoo. Any guess of the score, Tolly? If you don't, I can reveal it if you don't.
Yeah, just go through it, mate.
So yes, it was actually on my 20th birthday, so it was a memorable birthday present from the club. We beat the Raiders 34 points to 16, as our panelist Hasman has got correct as well. So, and I'll run through the scores card as well as the team list that played that day. So the team list, I'll go through the team list first. So at fullback, we had Jared Beale. On the wings, we had Brett Morris and Jason Nightingale. The centers, we had Josh Dugan and Peter Mataudia. 5'8", we had Gareth Wood. At halfback was Benji Marshall. Back row was Trent Merrin, Leeson Armour and Joel Thompson. Up front, we had Jack DeBellin, Mitch Rain and Mike Cooper. The bench was Tyson Frizzell, Will Matthews, Jack Stockwell and Kyle Stanley, coached by Paul Mary McGregor.
Before you go into the try scorers, I'm just looking at that team list, mate, and I'm thinking, I'm just trying to imagine what it would have been like if we had the Mad Dragons vodcast back in 2014. We've lost 11 in a row down in Canberra, and we named Jared Beale at fullback. What do you reckon the reaction from the Mad Dragons podcast would have been?
Probably not good. I remember when Anthony Griffin called him back a couple of years ago when we had all those suspensions during COVID, and everyone was saying, "Why the hell did we sign him?" And we brought him out of Queensland Cup, I remember. Anyway, you might know some of the Raiders. Actually, there's still a few remaining from the Raiders side that day. So they had Jordan Rapana at fullback, Bill Tupou and Edric Lee on the wings, Jared Croker and Jack Whiten in the centres, Anthony Milford and our old halfback Josh McCrone, Brett White and Shannon Boyd in the front row with Glenn Buttress at hooker, Josh Papali'i, Joel Edwards and Jared Kennedy. On the bench, Paul Vaughan, Matt McKilrick, Mitch Cornish and Dane Tills, and Ricky Stewart was the coach. So we scored 34 points. So, and the captain of that day actually was Brett Morris. So we had a hat trick to Brett Morris. Josh Dugan got a try. Jason Nightingale got a double. Peter Mataudia and Gareth Whittack kicked 3 goals. Canberra led 12-10 at half time, but we ran away with it in the second half. And yeah, we won 34 points to 16. A bit of relief. The Dragons finally broke their hoodoo in Canberra. And that's the year also Paul McGregor took over from Steve Price as the caretaker coach. As you know, will go on to be the full-time coach from 2015.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Brett Morris, Josh Dugan, Jason Nightingale all in the side, and Jared Beale's the fullback. It's I don't know. It must have been something going on at that particular point in time for that to be the decision that Mary made. But it all worked out for the best, as you said. A 34-16 win over Canberra. I don't know whether we would have been too confident going into that one, but fantastic to walk away with a rare win down there. Hopefully we can do that again this weekend. All right, moving on to the other change was also forced with Frankie Molo suspended. Let's talk about the suspension. Chloe, were you surprised that Molo got 3 weeks for that tackle on the weekend?
Yes, I'm very surprised. I'm going to be on my rant because I'm really angry about it because I watched that stupid freaking tackle. And you know what? The Titans guy had his head tucked in while he was getting tackled. So I didn't think it was a big tackle or a careless tackle. So for 3 weeks for that, it's unacceptable and it's a joke. And I don't know why he's even got 3 weeks. It's abysmal. I'm really upset. It's just, there was nothing in it, nothing at all.
Yeah, no, I've got to say you're echoing the thoughts of my dad. He called me today. He called me specifically to talk about this because he was so filthy about it. He was blowing up Deluxe. He said, "How can you get 3 weeks for a missed tackle? Like he ran up out of the line and he missed it. Like he didn't even make the tackle."
Yeah, that was like my dad too. My dad was like, "Are you joking? Are you kidding?" Like he tucked his. I'm like, I know. And we were having like a full-on agreement and I was like, but you know, I understand about player welfare, but there was nothing in it. There's nothing at all. So we lose a player over that, you know, and I just think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought, watching it live, I actually thought it looked pretty bad at first instance. It was a careless sort of tackle. He left the ground, both feet come off the ground, but when you actually watch the replay, he barely grazes him. He just sort of nudges him, makes pretty incidental contact, and I can't remember, was it the front rower for the Titans, Fodder Waker, I think it might have been. He didn't even flinch. He kept going. He kept running, ran straight through it. So there wasn't too much force in the tackle. I struggled to find out how that's worth 3 weeks. I can only ascertain that it's because he's come up and he's left his feet and he's been punished for the action rather than the outcome. He's been suspended for an attempted high tackle rather than an actual high tackle, which I've never seen happen before. So it's certainly a strange one. And the Dragons, we love to knock over some firsts, don't we? All right, Big T, Zane Musgrove has missed the last couple of weeks, and strangely, he comes straight into the team to start at prop. Does it surprise you that he's starting?
No. And the first few weeks when he played, he was low on his numbers, and that's why Hook sort of hooked him. But the last 2 weeks, like, God, come on, he's run for 208 and 203 meters in both games, 21 runs in both games. 2 weeks ago, he made 74 post-contact meters. Last week, he made 98 post-contact meters. Like,
it's not so much that he's come into the team, but he's come into the team from not being in the team, and now he's a starter. Like, does that surprise you? Would have you expected him to come back on the bench?
I don't think so. I was really looking forward to Zane coming to our team, and I always thought he was a starter anyway. I was going to start Musgrove and Laurie. They were my starters when he come to the club. So, and over the last 2 weeks, what he's done in reserve grade, I know it's against a lower quality opponent, but yeah, come back in the side. Kerr's been going well off the bench. Couchman's been going well off the bench. So leave them where they are, give them their minutes. He may only play 35 minutes, but I hope he does. Well, maybe he gets those big numbers again.
Yeah, well, Jacob Little's a perfect example of how you can start and still not play many minutes.
That's true. Yeah. And you don't know what's going for. I don't know what's going for Hook's head anyway. So.
Well, the next question was actually for Hasman, but he's having some trouble with his Zoom. Something's gone awry, and he's dropped out. But you more or less answered that question anyway, in terms of whether Musgrove is the right person to have brought into the team. Yeah, if Hasman's not there, and I don't think he is, we might go to Jesse. I mean, would you have considered anybody else other than Musgrove to come in for Frankie?
I would have looked at Michael Milo too. I thought he was strong. He got through a lot of work. Yeah, I would have looked at him for a bench spot, maybe put the bell in, or even start Kerr, but I think he's gone the right way. Yeah, Musgrove deserved his spot, and we need some go forward there. And playing this week, I think we need as much size, because this is a very big Canberra pack, and Musgrove is that big frame, and we need that against the big size of the Canberra Raiders. And I consider Molo very unlucky not to get a spot, but I think if he keeps that up, he won't be far away from a return to the top grade.
Yeah, I think as Big T pointed out, I think the back-to-back games where you make over 200 running meters, there's not much more you can do than put up those sorts of numbers in back-to-back weeks and say, I want back in that top grade side. It's been a couple of very, very good performances from Zane, and I think he deserves his chance. I was a little surprised that he started. I thought they might have started with Jack DeBellin and had Musgrove coming off the bench, but yeah, straight back into the starting team. He'll set the tone, as Big T has said on a couple of occasions. Yeah, he's a big body, and he'll set the tone. So
who knows, Donnie? Like he could start off the bench, and DeBellin could start. Like the team hasn't been set in concrete yet, so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
plenty of changes to come.
Good point. All right, Jesse, you've sort of already spoken about our record down in Canberra with Jags Dragons trivia, but I spoke about it also at the top of the show, losing 14 of our last 16. Do you think the hoodoo is real? Do you think it's a significant factor, or is this record more of a coincidence than a genuine hoodoo?
I think it's just a coincidence. The Raiders have always been a tricky team to play at home, especially in winter. No team wants to go down there and play them in the freezing cold of the nation's capital. But I don't think it's a hoodoo. I don't believe in that. I think it's just being the Raiders being the better side at the time, and I think they've been the better side. They've always known how to beat us. The players, I don't know if it's crept into the players' minds either, but I don't really believe in it, because it doesn't matter where you play. You've got to play the same every week, no matter which ground you're playing. If you go to Brisbane or Melbourne or Canberra or New Zealand, it doesn't really matter where you play. You've always got to play the same brand of football. And you always got to turn up every week, no matter where you play. And yeah, I don't really believe in that hoodoos. I know some people will, but I don't really look into that too much.
Yeah, I think it goes about down the same path when we spoke last week about how beneficial it was for us to have Peter Goff as the referee, because we win under him all the time, and the Titans lose under him all the time. Yeah, that's a little bit of fun to look at, stats that are fun to look at, but in the end, it's just a coincidence that maybe Peter Goff has ref the Gold Coast Titans against the Melbourne Storm and the Penrith Panthers quite a lot, and that's why they lose a lot when he referees. It's got nothing to do with the actual referee. I think the same goes for playing down in Canberra. You look at these results, and there's most of them, certainly over the last decade, could have gone either way. You're looking at 2 and 4 point margins in most of these games where we've either won or lost. And we saw last year we sort of lost on the siren with a bit of a controversial decision after we won on the siren at home with another pretty controversial decision. So I think the only thing that's just about certain is that this game's going to go right down to the wire, and it will be down to the last minute. Muzz, looking at the extended bench for the Dragons, one name that we haven't seen before is Viliami Fafita, our new signing from Manly. Are you expecting him or any of the other names on the extended bench to take the field in the final 17?
Sorry about that. I think I lost there for a sec. No, look, good to see his name there. Gives us a good a look at what I think he played 22 minutes in reserves on the weekend, so I don't sort of really expect to see him named. It'd be good to see him rack up, sort of 50, 60 minutes first, I think, in reserve grade before we see him. Looking at that, I mean, we know who we'd want from that extended bench, but I don't really expect to see any change. I mean, he might have a change of heart before the weekend and give Max a shot there, but he's named Moga in the side, so you wouldn't expect it to change. The only change I could probably see out of that is maybe, like we just touched on before, maybe Molo, but who does he come in for? The only changes that have been made are through injury, so I just think our structure at the moment is basically sticking with the 17 unless somebody's injured. And I think that's what he's going to do. So, no, but I'll tell you what, it'd be good to see him in a couple of weeks with 50 or 60 minutes under his belt in reserve grade for sure.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I think I look at that extended bench and go, oh, geez, there's a few players there that would improve our team, would make it look better, would make me a lot more confident that we're going to win. But I don't think any of them are going to get a run. I think, the New South Wales Cup team might be worth watching once again, because there's going to be some quality in there that should be playing in the NRL. As for Viliami Fafita, I think he only played 20-odd minutes or something, 22 minutes, I think, off the top. Even though he started the game, as Big T sort of pointed out earlier, you can start the game and not play many minutes at all. He started the game in New South Wales Cup, but only played about 22 minutes. So he needs to get a few more minutes under his belt, I think, before we start to consider seeing him in the top grade. So hopefully he gets through the full game this weekend. All right. What we're going to do now is move into some viewer questions. Chloe, we've got a question from Everything NRL, and I think we're going to get this question every single week until the decision is made. When should the club make a call on Hook?
Very good question. I've been thinking about this all afternoon. Well, we don't particularly understand his thinking. We don't understand why he's not picking the younger guys over the more mature age, over like the late 20s. And so I don't know, it's, what is it? We're midway through this, and we've won a few, but we've lost a lot. They have to make their mind up either in the next couple of weeks and go, okay, then either, because I saw something tonight on Facebook about they either will tell him that he has to reapply, or he's done. So yeah, I just think either by this week or next week, if we haven't won, then you're going and let the second in charge person do it, and then hurry up and go, right. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the coach? Because it's just going to pussyfoot around it, and it's not good for the club. It's not good for us. Not good for the players. So stop just dragging it on. Make a decision. Pull your socks up, club, and do it, because we've had enough.
Yeah, I know that there's a few of you, Big T. You've got a slightly different opinion to Chloe in terms of when the decision should be made.
It doesn't matter whether it's now or in 4 weeks' time, man. And look, if he goes now, they're not going to put the new coach straight in. They'll put a
hang on, in the comments, you've gone now, and now you're backtracking.
No. I'm saying he's got to go, but they're not going to bring in the new coach, are they? Nobody ever does. So they're going to give him a clean slate next year and bring in, I don't know, Matty Head or somebody to caretaker coach the rest of the year. So it doesn't matter really whether he goes now or in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of inclined to stick with what I said at the start of the year. I said we need to be at least knocking on the door of the top 4 by round 10. And while that seems pretty much impossible from the way that we're performing at the moment, it doesn't look very likely at all. It is still possible. We could win our next 4 games and be sitting inside the top 4.
Not if that team last weekend turns up.
Well, exactly right, mate. I mean, it doesn't look likely on what we've produced so far. So I think if we lose our next 2 games, then that's it. See you later, Hook.
We've shown glimpses, but not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Canberra haven't been all that impressive. They've been very inconsistent. If they show up like they have done through the opening few rounds of the competition rather than what they showed last week, then we can certainly roll them. I don't think there's any doubt we can roll them. What happens on Anzac Day, the Roosters are a very, very good team, but we've all seen us produce some remarkable performances on Anzac Day in the past. Then we've got the Bulldogs and the Tigers. Like we could win these next 4 games and then be sitting in the top 4, and we're all got very different looks on our faces and very different conversations we're having about Hook. But on what we produced last week, the way that we played, even if we'd won that game, I still would have been disappointed with the performance, would have been disappointed with the amount of missed tackles and the amount of shirt grabbing. I've certainly had a lot of people have a crack at me about being a bit negative about that performance, but I actually think that performance was about on par with our game against the Sharks. I don't think it was any better than that. And
I think it was worse.
Yeah, I've said that as well, but got smashed for it. So I didn't want to go there again.
But it was just the Titans.
Yeah.
With 11 stars out.
Yeah. Jesse, you've got your hand up. Got something to add?
Yeah. From that game last Sunday, if we can't beat a reserve grade Titans outfit, how are we going to beat the better sides going forward? The Raiders are just coming off probably their best win of the year, beating the Broncos.
With 3 of their best players coming back.
Yeah. The Roosters are going quite well as well. And then the Bulldogs, I thought they've improved this year so far. Tigers, they always give us a game as well. No matter where we are on the table, either team. Yeah, I really don't know where we can improve, to be honest. It's going to have to be a complete 300.
Bring the young guys in, because we've got other sides. You went to some of the games on the weekend, Jesse, and that's what annoys the crap out of me. We've got young guys that want to play in our team. We have a coach that doesn't want to put anybody on, and then everyone whinges about, why do they want releases? And Jaden Sullivan, I'm a big advocate for him. He's going to ask one day to go, see you later, guys. I'm not getting much game time. And that's what gives me frustration and the shits, because we've got good young players who need to earn and develop. But when are they going to have that time? When Ben Hunt's going to State of Origin, when someone else goes to State of Origin, or someone's injured, there's no consistency.
Yeah.
Sorry for overtaking.
That's okay. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, when's their chance going to come? He actually already asked for the release late last year with Sloan. And if he keeps going this way, he'll ask for it again. Like on form at the moment, I would take Sullivan over Amon. I don't think Amon's found the form that he was in last year quite yet. I don't know when he's going to find it, but you got to pick your form players. And as Donny alluded to earlier, like Moga's coming off 4 knee reconstructions. He's not the player he was that he was touted to as when he was a young kid. He's safe and he'll do a job, but we need speed in the backs. We don't really have any apart from Sloan.
Yeah. And that was pretty obvious. Yeah, that was pretty obvious when Ben Hunt took that intercept on the weekend, even though he was probably about 6 meters offside. I don't know how he got away with that, but when he took that intercept and absolutely nobody there to take it off him, no speedmen. By the time Sloan got there, it was far too late, and we just didn't have anybody else with any speed. And
he was running in mud. He was running in mud.
Yes,
Like,
Ben Hunt. Well, he's as old as you, Big T. So
exactly, not quite, but I'd like to be 33 again. But
yeah, no, he's certainly getting on a bit. All right, and we got two similar questions. These are kind of along the same line. So you might actually answer the second one in the first one, but we'll try and get both of them in from two different viewers. Big T. The first comes from Rob Saguna. He wants to know if Hunt is really as big a fan as Hook as he makes out to be, or is he just concerned that another coach may be less willing to let him have his way all the time and might make the change and move Hunt to 9?
Quite possible. But Hunt's known Hook for umpteen years. I met when he was 17. Both Rockhampton boys. So I'd say that we would be good mates. And Hook would listen to Hunt. Like Hunt saying he doesn't want to play number 9. Yeah, but if somebody else comes in, maybe a Hasler or somebody with more experience, a harder coach, because I'd expect Desi to be hard. He'd be a hard man, and he could tell him, play 9 or leave. See ya. So, because contracts are worth nothing these days, and but Hunt and Hook are good mates. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hook went, Hunt would say, I want to go too.
Yeah. Well, that sort of leads perfectly. Nice little segue. It's like you knew what the next question was, Big T.
I'm awesome. Awesome.
It was supposed to be for Hasman, but he's having some big troubles. He keeps messaging me, telling me to kick him out. I'm like, you're not in anymore. But anyway, sorry, Hasman, we can't seem to get you working tonight. So this question will go to Muzz without any notice. A follow-on from that. Ben Hunt, a big advocate for Anthony Griffin. If he reacts the same way as Cameron McGuinness and wants out of the club, if Hook is given the sack, should we let him leave?
Absolutely. Why do we want a bloke at our club doesn't want to be here? Look, I don't think regardless of whether Hunt's here this year or not, our position's not going to change. We either put our faith in the young blokes and back the young blokes to give them a go, or they go on the hunt for a big signing. Use the money that they're going to save by not having him to if they're not confident in the young blokes that we've got to search the market. But if he comes out and says he doesn't want to be here because Hook's not here, it's all hypothetical, of course. But why do you want a bloke around the club that's thinking like that? Absolutely. If Hook goes and he wants to go, I wouldn't hesitate. See you later.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of people pretty reluctant to let him go. He's got a contract. He's comfortably the best player in our team, and I know there's a lot of Dragons fans that are absolutely terrified about how bad we'd be without Ben Hunt. I don't share those same beliefs. I think that again, like Chloe said, if we give some of these young blokes like Jaden Sullivan a chance to come in and run the team, I don't think we'd go quite as badly as some people think we would. It might take a little while. We might cop a couple of hidings while he finds his feet in the top grade. But I really don't think it would be quite as bad as what some people think. And I tend to agree with you, Muzz, that if he wants to go, then we'd be best to let him go. And as you say, use that money to. There's a fair bit of money there. If we can use that to improve the side in other areas to help Jaden Sullivan out and Junior Amone in that team. Chloe, you've got your hand up and wanted to add something there.
I agree with you both with what you're saying. I think if we had got a new coach, I would love someone just to be like, hey, Ben, you're doing this, instead of going, no, you stay here. I would love to see him as a 9 because it works for Queensland every time. So I think we need to stop freaking out about what if Ben Hunt leaves, because yes, he's good, but then he has moments, like hot and cold moments. So if he wants to leave when the coach leaves, see you, we'll get someone else, or it's not the end of the world. So I'm not really worried.
Yeah, and again, it's worth pointing out once again. Muzz has said it already, but this is a hypothetical conversation. Ben Hunt has not come out and said that if Hook leaves, I'm going as well. In fact, he said the exact opposite when he signed that 3-year contract. That his deal and Hook's deal aren't linked in any way, shape, or form. There was some rumours that he was trying to get something put into his contract to that effect, but that didn't end up happening, and he said that he's quite happy to stay. Jesse, you've got your hand up, something to add there as well?
Yes, so with Ben Hunt looking to leave, if he does, well, I think that if he wants to go, but I don't think the club should pay him. I mean, he shouldn't be paid out. He's under contract, but if he wants to go on his terms, then he has to then go. He doesn't get the payout. We could use that money to go looking for a playmaker, because at any other club, if a coach says, I want to put you in this position, you're just got to do it, because who are you to say what position you're playing? Like, you look at Melbourne this week, they're playing Cameron Munster at fullback. They've still obviously got Pappenhausen out. He's still a few weeks away, but for what's best for the team, they're putting Munster at fullback, because we know how devastating he can be and where he can chime in. You got to play where it's best for the team, and I think if Hunt is better for the team to play at 9, then he's got to live with it, because you got to look at team first mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you there, Jesse. All right, it's time now for Chloe's clashes. We still don't have an intro for this one. I've been a little bit lazy in trying to create one for this segment. But Chloe, there's some big matchups this weekend, some huge matchups. How do you see? What do you see as the most important for us?
Okay, so welcome everyone to my Chloe's clashes against the Canberra Raiders. I believe it's a hoodoo. I've grown up with the hoodoo, so Jesse, I agree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you. But I believe in hoodoo, so I've always remember going down to Canberra with the hoodoo. So clashes for me. Now, the first one would be this. Where am I? Would be Sebastian, Chris, and versus Tyrell Salone. I feel that the number ones are very, their speed, and if they are on like Tyrell with the speed, I bet that he'll have a good game. The Sixers, Jack Whiten and Amone. I can just feel with Whiten being at home, first time back from suspension, he'll be very fresh. So and Amone with his like speed, and I hope he has a try in amongst it all. And who else? I've got heaps. Jamal Fogarty and Ben Hunt. That's the one I'm looking forward to. That's going to be an interesting matchup. And also Josh Papali and Zane Musgrove. I think that would be good. Also, Tarpany versus Blake Laurie. I'm really looking forward to this. Hope they both go well. And their tackling is Laurie's 92% and Tarpany is 96%. So the average for Tarpany is 164 tackles, and Blake Laurie's 161. So that can't wait to see how many tackles I'll do on the day. I also am looking forward to the 13. So Jack Bird and Corey Hosberg. I hope they niggle each other because I know that Corey will get fired up for his team, and I know Jack can be like that. So I'm hoping they can do well together. Oh yes, Jesse, do you have a question?
I have another one to add. Jared
Okay,
Croker and Zach Lomax.
I wasn't finished. I was doing that one. But on NRL, it was that Croker versus Sully. So I think they play mind games with me. So I did put Croker and Sully, but yeah, Jack Lomax. I would like a bit of Croker too. But also who else? Elliot Whitehead and Hudson Young. They are also ones to look out for. And also I just thought the goal kicking would be Zach Lomax and Fogarty. So the kicking skills and the conversions will be very interesting down there as well. And that's it. Thank you for watching.
Crocker's kicking again for Canberra. He kicked 3 from 3 last week, and
So they've got
and Reynolds only kicked 1 from 3 last week. So the kicking game, or the kicking from Jared Croker was the difference.
Yep, that is it. But he's
George Phillip in the comments. Chloe's got a really good one. Ricky Stewart against Anthony Griffin. It's the most animated coach in the game against the least animated coach in the game.
That's a good one.
It's not a bad matchup at all. So,
so Chloe versus her dad. So that's a good clash up too.
but in all honesty, I think the matchup through the middle third of the field is where this game is going to be won or lost. Josh Papali'i, Joseph Tarpany, Corey Horsburgh. Those three up against Zane Musgrove, Blake Laurie, and Jack Bird. If we can hold our own in that battle, because on paper the Raiders just look stronger than us in that area. So if our boys can step up and hold their own and come out neutral in that sort of battle through the middle, then I think we probably win this game. But looking at it on paper, the Raiders looking incredibly strong. Tarpany coming back in is certainly he's a wonderful player. I love watching him play. All right, might stay with you, Chloe, and also Big T. We've got the advertisement. So the Mad Dragons Vodcast store. You've got the Mad Dragons Vodcast shirt on.
We've both got the same shirt on.
I think you do have the one at the back. I don't have Fire Up Dragons fan.
Oh, hang on, I'll see what I can do about that.
Hang on, we've got a strip show.
How's that?
Oh yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh.
That was a struggle.
You're still very flexible and graceful.
I wish I was. So how do you like my background? How's that? How good's that?
That's pretty awesome, mate.
It is, eh?
For your next trick, can you put your leg behind your head?
No.
And of course, to find the store, you go to Etsy, search the Mad Dragons Vodcast. Yeah, it's not just the black shirts. We've got a range of different gear on there that you can get your hands on and look as fabulous as Big T and Chloe do. So yeah, happy to have your support wherever we can get it. All right, it's time now to move in to this.
All I want, all I need, all I crave is a big multi. All I want, all I need, all I crave is a big multi. London multi.
So Muzz's multi. Muzza, I don't know whether we've spoken about this yet. I hope you've got one. We go across. What's your multi look like, mate?
Yeah, no, I certainly have. Once again, dismal effort last week, and again to the Family League, I do solemnly apologise. We're going to come good starting this week. We first match I've anytime try scorer Damien Cook and Rabbitohs. I think they'll get tired around the middle and late in the game. Hopefully scoot over dummy half. Anytime try scorer in Joseph Swali'i. I've had him a couple of times. He hasn't scored. I think he's certainly just about due. Taking the Storm -4.5 in their match. They're looking pretty good at the moment. And the last game, the Warriors and the Cowboys, they both had some scores put on them. So I'm going, I think it's 40, total score 45, 42.5 plus. So they'll both rack up a couple of scores, I reckon. I think that's paying about 40 odd bucks, I think, Donnie. So whatever we put on that, we'll go to the Family League Foundation, who do a great job for ex-players from the game. So get in and support them. And if you are having a bet on the weekend, gamble responsibly, as always.
Absolutely, mate. And it looks well thought out, and maybe you might be able to prove a lot of people wrong, because there's a lot saying that you're an absolute mug punter and doing no bloody good at all. But maybe you can. Yeah,
they're not wrong at all, are they?
You must know how to use a computer. You made that background. How good's that one?
Well, that, eh?
How good's that?
Ripper.
It is, eh?
Thanks, Big T.
No worries, mate. Sweet.
You blokes are killing it today with your green screen game. It's been very impressive so far, and loving that. Hopefully, if you can send that through to me, we can actually get that on, because before the odds change too much, we've got a couple in the panel might need to top up before we can get that one on. But it looks a good one. It looks well thought out, mate, and every chance of coming off, I think. Also, as part of Muzz's Multi, we are trying to get the fans involved. We want to get everyone that's watching, everyone out there to get involved in Muzz's Multi. Send us your best multi, whether it's at least 4 legs we want to put in to try and get some value. And if as Muzz said, if it does get up, all the proceeds do go to a fantastic cause in Family of League. We haven't had a lot of success thus far, but hopefully we can get a win and get something to this great cause before the season is done. I'm sure we'll have a few wins before then. All right, we move into to the lower grades. I'm not sure who actually watched the lower grades on the weekend, but looking at the team list this weekend for the New South Wales Cup side, they play Canberra prior to the NRL, and it is also the Fox / KO game, which is fantastic. It means another chance for fans to see our reserves run around. I think an even better chance for fans to see our lower grade have a run, given that probably a little bit more reach than having the live stream on Facebook, and might be a slightly better quality to be able to watch as well. The only change to this team that beat the Bears is Jaden Hunt moves back to prop to replace Musgrove, who's moved up to the NRL, and the return of everybody's favourite player, William Burns. He's back into the team after serving a suspension for a crusher tackle. The other interesting thing is everyone on the extended NRL bench is actually named in the New South Wales Cup team. So either there's going to be a late change, or the 18th man is going to play some New South Wales Cup before backing up to sit on the NRL bench. Who do you expect to play off as the 18th man this week, Jesse?
I'd be looking at either Michael Molo or a Max Fino. Michael Molo probably was another one that I was alluded to earlier, that he was probably unlucky enough to get a spot. It was between him and Zane Musgrove. I thought Zane Musgrove slightly had the edge, but Michael Molo looked strong. He got into his work. We lack some workers in outside, so to have some solid defenders and get through, have some workhorses in the side, I think he'd be beneficial. Or if they had Max Finn, I say if they had an injury in the outside backs, just in case, he'd be there and potentially drop into the 17. Unlikely, but obviously we had that injury to Ravalawa, and if any outside back goes down, they could put him in as a potential cover. Yeah.
I might go to you, Big T. I mean, what do you think of the option of Viliami Fafita backing up? I mean, imagine the scenario: the Dragons have 2 players knocked out. They're gone for the rest of the game. All of a sudden, we bring in this bloke that's 8'9" and 400 kilos and runs like a steam train. Comes off the bench and could make a big impact. Would you consider him as a possible 18th man this weekend?
I don't think it'll be this weekend. He will come in at some stage during the year, I'd say. He'll have another run in the low grade. I think he played 30 minutes last week, something around that. So, no, he won't be in this week. But he is a beast. I watched a few. I didn't see him play many games, but I watched a few of his highlights. And yeah, I think he's going to be one for us in the future. But he's about 6'6" or something and weighs 130 kilos. He's a huge man. Yeah,
he's a big unit. I watched him when he played his first game for the club there against the Newtown Jets at Canberra, and was very impressed by what I saw that day. He actually, it might have been down in Wollongong, but he sort of came on and made a big impact. Put on some big shots. When I watched him last week, I was actually driving, so I sort of had the commentary going, but I didn't hear his name called too often in the 22 minutes that he did play. So I'm not sure exactly how well he went. Jesse, you were at the game. Did you notice Viliami Fafita and did he have much of an impact in that game?
Not really. He didn't do a lot in those 22 minutes. I was more alerted to I didn't see him on the field. He was off the field for the majority of it. I don't know whether he was injured or getting treatment or something, but there was something going on there. But yeah, Musgrove got long minutes. Jaden Hutt got quite a few minutes as well. But yeah, I don't really know maybe he's down on fitness. I don't know what the go is there, but hopefully he gets some more minutes. I don't think he's ready for first grade. If he's lacking minutes in first grade these days, you need to play a lot of minutes in the front row. And if he's got to build up his minutes in cup first before he gets looked at to play first grade.
Yeah, I can only assume he picked up some sort of minor knock that isn't going to prevent him from playing this week, similar to Jaden Sewer a couple of weeks ago, where he didn't finish out the game, but was right to go the following week. So that's the only thing I can think of, because I'm sure they would have loved to give him some quality minutes to build up his match fitness. But we'll stick with the lower grades. Jersey Flegg is refreshed after the bye. They take on the Tigers at Lidcombe Oval at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And always interesting after the junior rep season has finished with players coming into this Jersey Flegg side, and a couple of SG4 players that move straight up into the Flegg team is young Civilio Tamale in the centres, and also a favourite of a few of the blokes from the trials, Dylan Egan has also come into this Flegg side, named to start in the second row. So a couple of impressive youngsters that have finished their under-19s campaign and straight into the under-21s to try and make a bit of a positive difference to the team that is just going along at the moment. They've got the one win so far to start the year. They've had a couple of buys, so it's been a stop-start season for the under-21 so far. I'll go to you now, Jesse, because you know more about the women's game than anybody else on the panel. A couple of the women's teams have massive games on the weekend. We'll start with the Illawarra Steelers, Tarsha Gale, under-19s women's team, taking on the Eels at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday at Campbelltown in a semi-final, elimination final. Can the girls continue on to week 2?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, sudden death finals footy. Both teams will be desperate, playing like it is a pretty much a season-defining game. So the girls are quite confident. The Steelers are quite confident of going through to week 2. Their captain's actually Ella Cross, who was recently signed to the NRLW side. Jamie Soward's got big raps on her. Actually,
massive raps. Didn't he say that the best under-19s player in the under-19s prop in the country?
Yeah, actually, yes, she did say that. She's still only 17 as well. To sign the NRLW contract, you have to actually get to get her parents to come in because she's still underage. So, but yeah, she's looking forward to the game on Saturday. They did meet once during the season. They had a 10-all drop. It was in round 2. So everyone's saying it should be an interesting game. But yeah, so that'll be at Campbelltown on Saturday afternoon. Hopefully they can bring home the crown. And yeah, it's all do or die for Heath. And hopefully we wish them all the best on Saturday.
Yeah, top 6 final system is probably not a final structure that too many NRL fans are going to be familiar with. But I think the top 2 teams get the week off, and then the other 4 teams play off in elimination games with the opportunity. If they win, they play the top 2 teams in the second week. I'm not sure whether we play the Roosters or the Bulldogs. I've certainly got my preferences for sure. What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, well, yeah, as you said before, the Bulldogs have been the benchmark side all year. You'd like to obviously play them in the grand final and hopefully push through to the grand final, but it's finals footy. You're going to play the better sides at some point. So I don't think that they'll mind, because you've got to play the best sides if you want to win this competition. But they've had a good year. They finished the year with 4 wins, average of just 10 points in defence per game and averaging 20 points in attack. And their primary cost, the captain, as I said, their primary focus is on game day. They'll be looking for bring a lot of effort and energy. We'll really thrive off that and thrive off each other, and we have to keep sticking together and stay to our game plan. So yeah, and a lot of players too from this have moved on to the women's premiership side. So last year, players now in the Harvey Norman women's premiership side, Lily Rogan, Jordan Preston, and Tiana Kaur are all from the Tasha Gale system. So if some of these girls will graduate to the Harvey Norman women's premiership side next year and possibly to NRLWs. So
talking about the Steelers women's side, mate, they've got a big game on this weekend as well. The last round of their regular season. So their season is getting towards the business end as well. The Steelers still looking fairly well placed at the moment, despite the loss on the weekend, sitting in 3rd spot, taking on the 8th place Tigers. But they could still miss finals with a loss. They really need to win to guarantee themselves a spot in finals.
Yeah, as I said on Sunday show, so Coach Alicia was quite disappointed with the second half. They started quite well against the Newcastle Knights. They led 12-4 at half time, but couldn't go on with the job. There was too many holes in the defence, and they didn't look the same side coming out in the second half. Then again, the Knights just turned it on, scoring 5 quick tries in succession. They've got a lot of experience in that Knights side. Like, to make it up, them probably the best fullback in the NRLW, Jessie Southall. She plays well beyond her years. She's only 17. She tore them apart with the kicking game, and yes, their combination was huge, and that really tore up the Steelers. Kezzy Apps is hopeful that she'll play this week, so she'll be a big in if she does.
She hasn't been named this week, so she's certain to play, because the last few weeks she has been named and then not played. So now she hasn't been named, she probably will play. Yeah,
well, the coach said as well. I spoke to Kezzy as well. She's circled this game, obviously, as everyone knows. That's where she's going for NRLW. She played with the winning. The Tigers won the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership last year, and she was part of that side, as well as Keely Brown. So yeah, it'll be a big in if she can get it. But as the coach said, they don't want to play her if she's not 100%. But yeah, it's a must-win game if they're going to play finals. And yeah, they really have the team that can do it. But they've really got to get together now if they want to do anything in this competition, because they'll be playing the better sides in come finals time. At the moment, if they finish 3rd, it looks like they'll play the Bulldogs, I think. And the Bulldogs have been one of the hotter sides in the comp this year, featuring one of our actually 2 of our NRLW players in Renee Target and Tara McGrath West. So it will be a big game, but doesn't matter whoever they play, it's a big test come finals time. But yeah, first they have to get the win this Saturday. It's also at Lidcombe Oval prior to that Jersey Flegg game, 12:30 on Saturday afternoon.
We're certainly getting down to the business end of the season in a couple of key competitions for the Dragons players. It might not be the best way of looking at it, but the New South Wales Women's Premiership getting towards the end of their season. that only means the NRLW is getting a little bit closer as well. So hopefully we're not too far away from finalising a draw in that competition and finding out who's going to be playing who, because I know that there's certainly a lot of interest in that respect, Jesse.
So yeah, the pre-season is due to start next month, and the NRL website does say that there should be a draw sometime this month. But they probably have to align it with venues probably prior to NRL games, or see what fields are available at the time. Obviously, there'll be some clashes, some grounds not available with that Women's FIFA World Cup coming to Australia in a few months' time. So they'll have to check out ground availability. Yeah.
So sometime this month, it's like getting a tradie in, and it's like I'll be there sometime between midnight and midday. Thank you very much. Give us some sort of indication as to when you're going to be. But yeah, no, it would be great if we can get a draw. All right, we'll move on. He's managed to sort out his technical issues. We've seen the technical prowess tonight of Big T and Muzzer. You might be moving up in the rankings. We might have to pick a new vice captain the way the Hasman's gone today. But the Dragons, they did meet with the agent of Des Hasler, Ben Hornby, and Jason Riles. Hasman, do you think all three of those coaches were discussed with the agent, or was it just your dad, Desi?
No, I think all three of them would have been spoken about. If they're all the same agents, clients, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. I mean, anyone's better than what we got now, but look, if I was the club, I'd definitely be talking to all three of them.
Yeah, certainly a lot of discussions about these three. I mean, do you have a preference of these three as to who you think that the Dragons should be looking at a little bit more closely?
I know what everyone wants me to say. Look, I don't particularly have a preference as long as it's not, as long as Griffin's not there. I don't really mind. But
I'm glad you said that. I was going to cut in with, okay, so we'll re-sign Hook for another 3 years then, if you don't have a preference. But no, I think that I don't know. There's certainly a lot of opinions in terms of which way we should go. I still see Hasler as a sideways move for me. I think that he is in so many ways very, very similar to Hook, and I know Gus says, "Oh, we can't get somebody that has had a previous involvement with the club." We've got Anthony Griffin right now who hasn't had a previous involvement with the club. How's that worked out for us? Like, it makes no difference whether they've had a previous involvement with the club or not. The only thing that matters is, are they a good coach? Will they be a good coach for this club? Are they what we need? What their history is and who they used to play for, that's completely irrelevant to me. And, I know we sort of all want someone that's not going to get pushed around by the board. Hasler fits that mould. I can't see the board pushing around Jason Riles. I can't see anybody pushing around Jason Riles. So I still see him as being a very good option. And Ben Hornby, again, I think that he's a guy that has a lot of passion for the club. He was a club captain when we won a premiership. He loves the Dragons, and if he wanted to come back to the club, then I certainly wouldn't mind having him getting his first gig as a head coach here either. So I'm sort of like you, Hasman. I'm sitting on the fence a little bit in terms of not really having a strong preference. I do like the Jason Riles option though, to be honest. So I think that there's some good options. Hopefully we start to look at finalising one of them in the not too distant future. Right, Big T, the Dragons are still seeking salary cap relief for Cody Ramsey. He isn't being medically retired, and he wasn't injured playing rep footy. So technically he doesn't fit the NRL's criteria, but this is a fairly unique situation, and the NRL is said to be sympathetic. What outcome are you expecting?
we talked about this the other day too. I'm saying, like, if he's not going to pull on a boot this year, how can he be in our 30-man roster?
Well, if you do a knee injury in in the trials, you're also not going to pull on a boot, or you can do a knee. Exactly,
that's true, but it's not game related. You know, like it's a disease he's got. He might never play football again. And we're talking about the English, Greg Inglis situation today with a couple of mates, and he got done. South's got compensation for him because he got injured during.
They medically retired him.
Yeah, that's right. He medically retired.
So we're not retiring Cody Ramsey. We're still hoping he's going to come back. So,
well,
like I said, that's why he doesn't.
If you go into retirement, you can come out of retirement. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
So, like they're saying they still want to pay him.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. I can't see a problem with paying him, but I can't see how he can be in our top 30 when he's not even going to lace a boot on.
Yeah, and again, that probably brings me to the follow-up question, Muzzer. A bit of a follow-up to that. If a player was diagnosed with say, a well-known illness, let's say cancer, and chemo made it impossible for them to play the entire year, do you think that salary cap relief would be a little bit more instant? Is it the unknown in terms of what this disease is that is preventing the NRL from giving that salary cap relief straight away?
Oh, I think it's more the fact that it's probably a first, so it's not, he's not medically retired and it's not had to do anything with football. So I think they're probably just trying to get their head around that to, like you said, they are sympathetic towards it, and they're probably thinking too, does this open the floodgates for other things? Because coaches and clubs are like they'll manipulate anything any way they can. So if they see an in, and if this sets a precedent and they let him do it, and I think they should, but if they let the club do it, it's going to set a precedent for those other clubs to, to try and pull it with something. Like I said, they do it with the rules of the game. They manipulate it any way they can, and CEOs and coaches, they're going to try and manipulate it. So it is a hard one, but for Cody and for the club, hopefully they allow it, and we can fill that other spot. But I think Jesse said he saw him the other day and briefly spoke to him. He's had how many surgeries in the last 8 months or whatever, the poor bastard. So we just sort of
I think it's eight or nine or something I read the other day. That's a lot of surgeries.
Yeah, so hopefully for him mentally, I hope this gets sorted so he knows where he's at as well.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation personally for Cody. He's putting on a brave face and turning up to all the games and doing a great job, and people love seeing him. And every time he turns up, it puts a big smile on Dragons fans' faces just to see him there and supporting the team. But I'm sure he'd love to get back out onto the field. Jesse, you've got something to add there too, mate?
Yeah. So yeah, he was at the lower grades game on Saturday. So it was quite a few fans come up to him and said hello and wanted to see how he was doing. He said to me he's got 2 surgeries to go. He's lost a lot of weight, so he's I don't know what if he or when he returns to the football field, let alone to train. He looks like he's a long way off doing that. I feel for him too. I think all Dragons fans feel for him. Hopefully he gets back soon. We want to see him back on the field. We miss him this year, and hopefully we can make a quick recovery and get this sorted out. We wish you all the best with your upcoming surgeries as well, Cody. So tough time ahead for you, but we have faith in you. You'll pull through and chin up. You can do it.
Yeah, my prediction is that we will get that salary cap relief from the NRL. I think that they have said that they're sympathetic to the situation, even though it is something that doesn't quite fit their rules right now. We've seen them on a number of occasions change the rules to make things fair for everyone, and I think that would be a fair outcome for the Dragons to get some salary cap relief and be able to continue paying Cody Ramsey, even though he's no chance of playing this year. And as Jesse sort of alluded to, might not be too much chance next year, based on the amount of recovery that he's still got to get through. It's going to be a long road for Cody, and we certainly don't want to stop paying him. We don't want to take him off the books, and he's still a big part of our club and who we are and what we want to honour. But I don't think we should be punished as a team for that, and should have the ability to bring in a replacement player on equivalent salary. All right, we move now into prediction time. Dragons against the Raiders down in Canberra. Chloe, I know this one tears you in half. So what's your prediction for this game?
Well, my heart says that we will beat them because I'll have a very upset person in my family. So sorry, Dad, but this is when I get really nasty. So I'm hoping that my first try scorer, I'm just going to say Salone. Anytime Blake Laurie, I hope he has an amazing game. And I'm going to say the score Dragons 28 and Raiders 20.
Fantastic. All right, Mother, what's your predictions for this game?
Well, we've got to stick with the Dragons. Like I said, though, I think it'll be a tight one. We seem to have some pretty close games with the Raiders over the last couple of years. So we'll go Raiders by 4. I think Bird anytime try scorer, but I think the first try scorer will come from Canberra. And I think it will be Hopewadi.
Was that a Freudian slip when you said Raiders by 4?
Sorry?
Was that a Freudian slip when you said Raiders by 4?
Dragons by 4.
Oh, no, you said Raiders. No, it's locked in now.
Did I say Raiders?
You did.
We'll check
Dragons.
the tape.
I'm gonna go to the video on that one.
You were saying, I suppose I'll stick with the Dragons. You weren't real confident.
Well, is anybody?
I don't think you sold too many on the VOD, mate.
Is anybody confident?
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking with my heart here. Yeah. So, look, we were talking about it earlier. I think these are the games that we do get up for, though. When everyone's bagging the shit out of us, we do get up and we do win these sort of games, and then we go back to shit again. So, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, what's your predictions, mate?
I'm sort of being a realist too. I agree with what Buzz said. I think the Raiders will be too good for us down there. I think the Raiders by 12. I just don't see where we improved last year. I think last week. I think I see the Raiders as they can beat anyone in the competition on their day. But that's the sort of side they are. They can beat anyone on their day, but when they're not on their game, they can get beat by quite plenty. But I think the Raiders will be too strong down there. I think we'll get a try from. I think we'll see a try from Moses Sully. And yeah, anytime try scorer, I'll go. Sorry, first try, I'll go Moses Sully. Anytime try scorer, I'm going to go with one of the Raiders. I think Jared Croker will get a try at Canberra for his first game there for a long time. I think, yeah. But I think the Raiders will be far too good. 12 points.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jesse, realism's overrated. It's much more fun living in fantasy land. So, I think I'll stay there. What about you, Hasman? Are you in fantasy land or you're a realist?
I'm the opposite to Muzzer. I'm going to go with my head. There's no place for your heart when you're tipping. I'm going to pick, because we've given him a little bit of shit. I reckon Moga will score first. I reckon Blocker will get one, but I still think Raiders will be too strong, and they'll win by between 4 and 8.
There we go. We've got a few tips for the Raiders. Big T, you're going to tip it in favour of the Dragons, or you're going to go with some of the doomsayers on the panel?
Yeah, not the doomsayers this week. I think the Dragons will win by 2 to 4. It's going to be a close one. It's always a close one against the Raiders, except for that 2007 game where we beat them 58-16 or whatever it was. And I was going to bring up with Chris as well. what do you felt when they let Ferguson, Carney, and all those players go before they become famous? You know, like. So anyway, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to say Free Knight have scored a first try. Margate have scored any time. Dragons by 2 to 4.
Sounds good to me, mate. And I'm going to go with, despite everyone hanging a lot of shit on him today, I think Tau Moga will score the first try of this game. I think he'll get across the line very early on. And then I think Tyrell Sloan, that's a big forward pack that the Raiders have got. I think Tyrell will find some space in around the middle of the field. He'll slice them up. He'll burn Sebastian Chris for speed once he breaks into the backfield to score the match winner. And the Dragons will win by 2 with Zach Lomax kicking the goal from the sideline after the siren. And the Dragons get the chocolates in a famous win down in Canberra. We'll wrap it up there tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Donnie,
yes, mate.
Donnie, before we go, mate, I've got to say, it would have been Jeff Selby's 58th birthday today, but he was taken away from his 89, I think it was. I knew Jeff through a friend of a friend, and it was a really nice bloke, a bit bigger than me. He was a big boy, Jeff. Yeah, he played for the Steelers as well, so he played for the Dragons and the Steelers. So, yeah, taken too early in a car accident. But, yeah, happy birthday up there, Jeff. I hope you're having a good time.
Yep.
What do you say?
Jesse?
Yep, we're not going through the other games this weekend, or?
Yep. We are, mate. That's going to be a different segment now. We're just going to stop the live stream and then we'll go through that. But all right, that's a bit of a sad way to end. I feel bad now doing my little sign off. Jeff Selby, it's an absolutely tragic story in rugby league. But yeah, hopefully we can get a win for him this weekend on his birthday up against the Raiders down there in Canberra. So come on, Dragons fans, fire up!